Welcome to Spiritual Truths with your host, Kerry Marie. Today, I'm delighted to have with me Coral Ryder from the UK. Coral is an international medium. She's a psychic artist and she also does portraits of spirit. Coral has been a spiritualist mainly her whole life, and she has developed as a medium. She'll talk about her journey, that she teaches others mediumship, psychic art, and spirit portraits. And along with that, she will talk to you about how you can develop it as a medium, how there's no fear, and how much she loves doing her work and why she does it. If you like this podcast, please like. We'll be delighted if you can subscribe because it helps our channel. Blessings and love, Kerry Marie. Welcome, Coral. It's so great to see you at last. I've been waiting a while for this. So welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I thank you so much for being part of the Spiritual Truths podcast, which is all about helping people along their journey with their purpose, find their own spiritual truth. And I think it's really good to talk about the spirit world and how connecting to the spirit world can help others. I heard about you through Charlie Seaman. I've done 2 podcasts with him, and I knew that you were on. Charlie is great, and he's doing a podcast that's coming out soon. It'll probably come out before this one on the principles of spiritualism, and I learned a lot from him actually. So he's a great guy. He's been on twice. So we've got something really in common, and the common thing for us is this love of spirit, absolute love of spirit, and how it helps us. So I know that you taught a little bit on SNUI, taught quite a while on SNUI, and you've gone down the track of becoming a tutor or going in that direction to help people with teaching spiritualism and mediumship. Is that right?
Yes, I was a teacher on there for several years.
Yeah. And you teach now as well?
Yes, I'm still teaching varying locations around the world.
Oh, are you? Oh, well, you see teaching other mediums how to, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you said something to me before our recording that you are a spirit artist or you teach spirit art.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gained the CSNU in demonstrating art in 2012. I was the first to achieve it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. So can you just tell me a little bit about yourself so we get a bit of background about Coral and who you are?
Okay, so my background is I grew up in the spiritualist movement. My mother is a minister of the SNU. My father at that time, when I was young, was a Christian. My mother was a budding medium and she ran a spiritualist church. She later then became an officiant and then a minister. My father was, as I say, was a Christian at that point, trying different Christian variations of Christianity. Found it wasn't quite the religion for him, and he used to tease my mother about going to the spookies. Until she challenged him one day, took him down church, and he got a message from the platform that nobody knew anything about. It was a piece of information he'd never told a living soul. And he came into it from a scientific point of view, wanting to know how did that medium know that.
Right.
And he ended up becoming a spiritualist healer.
Wow.
Healing medium.
Wow, fantastic. That's fantastic. So I love the scientific side of it though, because I think that's quite good, isn't it? The scientific side. Because, even I can be a bit skeptical, and if it's like proven to me, it means me more. I think people need to have that proof. I think it's great. The evidence. Yeah.
Say that again, sorry.
Oh, I think that it's nice to have the scientific side and the proof and the evidence.
Oh, absolutely. I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, proof, because I find even myself, I can be a little bit skeptical at times. And if it's absolute, it's just wow. It's just I love going to Arthur Finney College. I love seeing the English mediums. I love seeing the quality of the mediumship. It's quite mind-blowing. And I think it's great that your father came from that place as well. Okay. So I was going to say to you, what drew you to spiritualism, but you were already born into that. You were born into spiritualism, weren't you?
I was born into spiritualism, but I was always given a choice. I wasn't forced to go into any particular religion. It was, as I said, my mother was spiritualist. My father was Christian at that point when I was young. But my parents said we had the right to choose our own pathway to God. So we had the choice to make our own mind up of where we wanted to be. And I found spiritualism was the right one for me. It was the principles,
Yeah.
7 principles that attracted me to it.
The 7 principles drew you to it. And why was
Yeah.
that?
My favorite is personal responsibility. It's like I always knew that there was a connection between us and what some people would call God, that universal energy. I felt the connection between brotherhood, sisterhood. That meant something to me. I was aware very much of the communion of spirits because my mother would sit in home circle and their friends would come round and they'd give each other messages. And I used to go to the church and watch the mediums talking off the platform. And it's the evidence that would draw people to the church, but it was the philosophy and the principles that
Yes.
would keep them coming.
Wow.
So I grew up in that kind of environment. I was able to choose which pathway I wanted to go down, but it was the fifth principle for me. Personal
So
responsibility is what
it just
stood
felt
out.
right. It just felt right to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just walking into a spiritualist church, it felt like I was coming home. I
Yeah.
always felt welcome there. It's an
Yeah.
odd sensation as you walk through the door. You just feel as though you're being wrapped in this
Yeah.
comfort blanket of just coming home. It's a beautiful feeling.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah. So you obviously you're given a choice. You came from your mum was a medium, a spiritualist. I think it's lovely that you had that opportunity quite young. And so, what drew you to develop as a medium? So you obviously were drawn to the evidence, the church. You felt at home. You actually loved the principles. But what made you? Because some people just like going to church and enjoying, or going to
Well,
circle, but not. What made you want to become a medium?
with me, it was when I was younger, I sometimes used to experience things. So I would go running to my mother and ask her about them, and she would always explain them in very simple, down to earth terms. When I got to my teens, I started having dreams about things that would then come to pass. I used to say things to my friends that used to scare them. I, I would finish their sentences, see future events that would take place usually within 2 weeks. And because it was unnerving them, I kind of switched my abilities off because I didn't want to frighten my friends.
Yeah,
And then I came back to it when I was about 17 for a little bit, went to circle for a bit, enjoyed it, but I didn't need evidence of survival at that point
right. Yeah,
because I grew up with it being normal and natural. I already
yes,
knew the spirit world existed. I was more
right,
interested in exploring this world. Um,
right. Yeah, of
so
course.
my catalyst, I suppose, was when my father-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I was very close to him. I'd known him since I was 17
Mm,
years old.
mm, mm,
And I felt the need to go to church for the comfort of being in the
mm,
building.
mm.
And I would pray for for healing for him in the hopes that he would recover and that kind
Yes,
of
of
thing. And
course.
I
Yeah.
kept going each week because I got comfort from it. And I was invited to start going to the Lyceum Development Group. And a few weeks into it, suddenly my mediumistic abilities switched back on.
Wow.
And I suddenly seen an imagery. The week after that, I heard um, my clairaudience kicked back in. And then a
Yeah.
week after that, clairsentience and then claircognizance. And then suddenly I started drawing spirit portraits.
Interesting. So I just want to go back to something you said, which fascinated me at the beginning. You said when you were younger, that you were given information about things that like predictions in a way, about prophecy, and it happened. So
Say that
where
again,
did
sorry. It's very
sorry,
quiet.
something that fascinated me with what you said just before, earlier, you said it made me register, and you said I was told things that would happen in 2 weeks, and it happened. So it came
Yes.
true. And so, as a spiritualist and a medium, where do you believe that information, just for the listener, where do you believe that information came from?
I still didn't hear that last part. Sorry, it's very quiet.
As a medium,
Yeah.
where do you feel that information was given to you about things that were going to happen?
I believe it came from people communicating with me from the spirit world.
Yeah.
It was sometimes I would see images
Yeah.
of things I couldn't change, things that were going to happen in the world that there was no way I could alter them. I was just a child.
Yes.
Other ones, it was things I could potentially change. So me
Interesting.
being silly and playing on the front of a rocket, like a rocking horse, but it was in the shape of rocket. And instead of
Right.
sitting on the correct seat, I was sat on the front of it in my dream, and then I flew through the air, landed on the floor, and hurt myself. A few weeks, well, with less than 2 weeks, I was in the park playing with friends, and then realised whilst I'm sat on the front of this rocket, just before my fingers slip, oh my word, what have you done? And then I'm flying through the air, landing on the floor. It was things like that. Seeing it, an item falling off the wall onto my friend's head when she was sleeping,
Right.
and I mentioned it, and it happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was things like that. Friends saying, "Should we tell?" And I don't. And I just answered, "You don't need to tell me. I already know she's pregnant." And it was about a friend who was 15 and she was pregnant. How I knew she was pregnant, I do not know. It was in my head. So it
Yes.
was things like that. I was just getting random pieces of information. I also used to pick up on people's aches and pains when they were near me. I was
Yeah.
picking that up psychically. My psychic awareness was there. I was very empathic. There was
Yes.
a lady who used to come to our house who was a friend of my mother's who was profoundly ill. She had so many illnesses. And every time she came into our house, I would turn grey
Yeah.
because I was picking up on her aches and pains, and I hadn't learned how to switch my abilities down, turn it off.
Mm.
When you're not
Mm.
working, as we put it nowadays, I call it closing down, when you finished your
Right.
work for the day.
Mm.
So my mother taught me how to close down so that I
So how
wasn't
do you
randomly
close?
picking up information.
So how do you close down?
How do I close down?
Yes.
It's going to sound silly, but when I first started to open up to Spirit World, I would picture an old style radio and I would tune it to Spirit FM in my head. When I was finished, I would untune it and unplug it. And that
That's
became my
amazing.
symbol to myself when I was willing to work. And it also became the symbol to the spirit world when I was willing to work. Nowadays, I just say, I invite spirit in and they're here, bump like that. And when I'm finished, I say thank you until next time.
Right.
And it just switches off that way.
Okay, that's good because I think that some people don't know how to turn on and off again.
Well,
Very
it's one of the things we
interesting.
say about being grounded. You've got to
Yes.
bring your mind to its normal level of consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's quite nice living in the real world as well.
Yeah.
Quite nice to enjoy the world we've got that's around us. I don't think it's
Oh, it
healthy.
can be. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
can be. I can relate to the radio because that's how I've always said it. People, it's like I used to say in the early days as well, way back, I used to talk about tuning into a radio station, which is I had to tune into it. And also I used to say as well that spirit will only give you the information that you're supposed to through that channel, like a DJ on. If you're listening to the radio, you're not going to get everything you want. You'll be given what's given to you from the radio. So it was quite a good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get given it for a reason. So, but I didn't hear about the turning off and unplugging it. I like that. I'll remember that one when I'm teaching people. So
I've
you
known
was
people do it in different ways. It's like one of my students was a plumber. He used to picture
right.
turning a tap on when the water
Oh
was flowing,
yeah,
he's working. When he was finished, he would turn it off and the water would stop flowing. That's when he's finished. It's now he just goes, "Are you there, spirit?" and bumps they're in. And when he's finished, he thanks them. But when he started, he used that symbolic gesture.
yeah. So it's individual. But so what you do, all you
Yeah,
do is saying you don't have to do it this way. This is just an idea. Do what works for you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So so you just sort of naturally became a medium, wanted to develop as a medium because your father-in-law passed and you're very close to
My
him. So
father's in the spirit world now. Yeah.
your father, yeah, I felt he was earlier when I got your card. I picked up a lady in spirit. I picked a card for you and I picked up a man after her. I don't know why, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so you wanted to develop as a medium and then you also, how long did it take you to develop as a medium? Like you obviously had a natural gift, but how long did it take you to develop and to start working as a medium?
I started developing, like properly getting into development my mediumship when I turned 30.
Okay.
I went down to the Lyceum. I was on platform fledging within a year.
What does fledging mean?
Fledging means that you go out with another medium who's experienced. It's like a bird fledging their wings. So
Yes.
you would go along and they might let you do one message, or you might do one, like you might do the opening prayer or the closing prayer, just to give you that little bit of experience of what it's like to be on a platform
Mm.
in a divine service. So I would do that, which was lovely. You get to feel what it was like, the energy on the platform. So it was like
Yes.
with your public presentation, how to project your voice to the back of the room. So you might, as they do, the opening or closing prayer or the philosophy. Then it was like sort of one or two messages, and then people would see me working. And then within a few months of that, people were asking me to do services. And then it was people asking me to do spirit portraiture with services. And it just built from there.
So could we just go back onto the portraiture? So how did that start? How did that all begin?
It was 26th of May, 2005. I still know the day. I was sat at home. I was playing on my PlayStation of all things, and I was playing a game called Metal Gear Solid. I can
Oh,
still remember the
wow.
little character running across the screen, and suddenly I heard a voice in my head say, "Put it down, paper, pencil, drop." And that's how it started. So I sat with a piece of paper, pencil poised, eyes closed, waiting for something to happen. And then I heard, "Can you open your eyes so I can see what I'm doing, please?" And I opened
Wow.
I know it's strange. I opened my eyes, my hand started to move. And it was moving so quickly, I was struggling to keep up with it. It felt very strange, but not scary, but strange. And then suddenly I felt a strong sense of frustration. And I thought, "You're left-handed, aren't you?" And the moment I thought it, I heard, "Thank you." And the pencil went to my left hand, and I drew my first portrait. I will say it wasn't a very good portrait, but it was a face. And then second picture was a flower, which was much better. And it was like, it turned out it's what we call control, it's automatic drawing.
Yeah.
One of my guides is moving my hands for me. I
Is
jokingly
it a
refer to
male
myself as
guide?
a
Is it a
spiritual
male
fax
guide?
machine.
Is it a male guide?
Say again?
Is it a male guide that
Still
helps
didn't
you
hear
get
that.
is it a male guide? A
Sorry,
man?
I still can't make that
uh,
out.
Is it a man? You think that's your guide that's doing the
Oh, no,
help?
it's a lady who works
It's
with
a
me.
lady, right? Okay,
Yeah.
but she
Sorry
sounds
about
quite
that. I couldn't hear what
strong
you were saying.
from what you're saying. She sounds quite strong.
Yeah, it was for the first 2.5, 3 months, I drew left-handed when I'm right-handed. They
Right,
were always signed with a fountain pen and the name of the lady who works with me.
right,
And
okay,
then my mother pointed out, because it used to take me an hour to 2 hours per portrait. Then
right.
my mother, as I say, is a minister of the Union, and she pointed out the average message from platform is 3.5 to 7.5 minutes in length. She says you need to be able to, if it's to be, presented to people off the rostrum, then you've got to be able to do a picture within that space of time. So I sent the thought to
Wow,
the lady I work with, "What do you want me to do?" And she said, "Go back to your right hand for speed. I know what I'm doing, and you, with your brain, kind of thing, make your hands move how I want them to. So go back to your right hand for speed." And that my portraits now are anywhere between 2 minutes and 15 minutes.
wow. So she always works with you.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you know her name?
Her name's Marge.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
short for Margaret.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good. So she obviously, so she still works with you today. That's awesome. So
2 seconds. I'm in an interview. I'm in an interview. Sorry, I'll be out with you in a minute. Sorry, I'm getting chased up. I apologise.
it's all right. So you always decided right from the get-go that you're going to work under Spiritual National Union. You didn't just develop outside the Spiritual National Union. It was always within the SNU. Is that right?
Say that again, sorry.
You right from get-go when you developed as a medium, it was under the Spiritual National Union. It wasn't
I am
outside.
amazing. I'm still not. I can't hear exactly what you're saying. To
No,
apologise for this. I
did you always train under the SNU?
Yes.
Okay,
So it was. I was trained in an SNU church in what we call a lyceum, which is a
right.
development group. It's run by people who are members of the Lyceum Union, which is part of the SNU.
Yes.
So I developed there. I also developed with an organisation called the International Spiritualist Federation. So I would work with them as well. So one of my mentors there, his name is Matthias Goldenstein. He
Yeah.
was the one who showed me how the proportions of the face are and encouraged me to demonstrate spirit art for the first time and to teach
Oh,
as well.
fantastic. So when you do your demonstration, is it always with art now, or you just demonstrate without
I
art?
can I can demonstrate normally without art, and
Right.
I can demonstrate with art.
So you can do both.
So I do both, yes.
And how do you find that people accept your portraits? How do they find it when you do this art? How does it
A lot
speak
of
to
people
people?
enjoy watching spirit art.
I
They
love
like to
it.
see the face develop in front of them. It's it's um it's one of those things. If you were bringing through somebody for sort of a gentleman, if we describe the middle-aged balding man, how many people know that description? Whereas an
Yes.
artist, you've got to get the details of that middle-aged
Yeah.
balding man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've
Yeah.
got to get the finer details so that they're recognized.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, awesome. So what is one of your very special experiences that you've had as a medium? Like we have these incredible life-changing experiences. I would say that this playing PlayStation and the voice telling you to stop and pick up your pencil was quite a major turning point for you. Is there any
It
other
was.
major? Yeah, to me that feels like one of the biggest ones. And it's huge. You're just playing PlayStation, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, you're instructed. It was yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it? That was a major turning point.
It was a major turn in my life. It's become my passion. It's
Yeah.
I know it sounds very strange, but for me, it's like a calling to be of service,
Oh,
um, to bring forward people. It's reuniting people with the faces of their loved ones for me. One story I can tell you, I was in an open circle. I drew two portraits, and it
yes.
turned out it was the mother and father of a lady in the room. I don't see the people that I draw, so I have no idea how close a
Right.
likeness that I produce.
Right.
So I asked, is there any opportunity that you could show me a photograph so I can see how close a likeness I'm producing? And she said, we can't. We had a house fire and we lost every photograph.
Oh,
She says, you've just given me my
wow.
parents back.
Oh my God, that's
So
huge.
those kind of things are very touching,
That's
to know that you're able to do
extremely,
that.
that's so
So
special.
yeah,
That's amazing. That's such a gift.
it's about healing for me. It's all
Oh,
about healing. All
it's all,
mediumship for me is about healing.
well, it is. It's healing, isn't it? It's all healing, especially if it's got good
Yeah.
evidence like that. So were you a natural artist beforehand?
No.
Oh, you weren't.
My highest mark in school for art was 2 out of 10 for effort.
You're joking.
Yeah, literally 2 out of 10 for effort.
So,
I stopped drawing because I could never seem to please the art teacher. It didn't matter what I drew, it didn't please her. I got low marks. I mean, one week she gave me half a point, and it was
wow.
like, so I gave up drawing.
So someone asked you just to draw a face that wasn't mediumistic. Could you draw it?
So it was, say that again. What is somebody
So
asking me
right
to draw a
now,
face now?
now you're a spirit artist, right? So I said to you, I just draw a face, but not necessarily a spirit face. Just I want you to draw. Could you
Now
do
I
it?
can
Could you do it?
draw some, I can draw a little bit now, but when I
Wow.
started, I couldn't draw.
So they've got
I couldn't sit and draw you.
wow.
I would have
So
to
that
take a photograph. I would then have to trace the features,
wow.
and
Wow.
then I could shade it, but I would have to have the features laid out. I'd have to
Wow.
trace the features out to be able to draw you.
So do you
I wouldn't
believe
be able to do it freehand yet. When I'm drawn for spirit, I can draw people in the spirit world without seeing anything.
that's you don't need anything. That's incredible. Do you have your eyes closed? Do you have
No,
your
because the lady who works with me, how she described it was open your eyes so I can see what I'm doing. Our minds blend and she sees the paper through my eyes.
right? Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. So, do you ever draw pets or animals?
Do I what, sorry?
You ever draw pets, a pet or an animal?
Occasionally I have drawn people's pets. Yes.
Yeah.
It was a
Okay.
shock to me the first time it happened. I was sat on a coach trip. I was going
Yeah.
on a family coach trip, and there was a lady sat next to me, and I was just practicing the link and practicing the drawing. And suddenly, when I looked down, there was a dog staring at me, and the woman sat next to me, was just mouth was like, that's my dog that I just passed to the spirit
Yeah.
world." So
I just as you're
didn't
talking,
intentionally do it; it just happened.
yeah, yeah. As you were talking, I kept on hearing and pets. Someone was saying to me, and pets. So I thought I had to
Yes,
ask you, yeah,
yes,
get
I
someone
do
to tell me that.
sometimes draw people's pets.
Yeah, that's lovely. I think that's really important. So, so you've had these amazing stories about, is there anything else, an amazing experience that you can share with us, something really mind-blowing to do with mediumship in general? Is there any
Sorry,
other,
you're gonna have to say it again.
is there any other experiences that you can share with us that was,
Mind-blowing experiences with mediumship. Um, I would have to say being honoured to sit in physical circle
oh, really?
and actually see a real, true transfiguration
So can you
and actually
explain that?
see a mask morph over somebody's face, it move and change. And the 60-year-old man I was looking at turned into a 21-year-old man and his mother recognizing him straight away. And then we all described the exact same person.
Oh, God. So it's objective. It was
So
objective.
So it wasn't like sort of an overshadowing where you're
No,
seeing
no.
with your mental mediumship. It was
Yeah.
physical phenomenon.
Yeah. So an objective thing that everybody could see.
Yes,
Yes.
physical.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody in the room can see it with their physical
yeah.
senses, not with their mediumistic senses.
So for the listeners, they won't really understand what you're talking about. So if we can just go back a
No,
bit.
they probably won't, but I can
Uh,
say it was profound
so I
for
so
me.
I just like to go. So can you explain for the listeners more about this physical mediumship, so they have a bit more of an idea what you're talking about?
Okay, so with physical mediumship, with the old style physical mediumship, spirit would draw energy from certain mediums who have a certain type of energy within them. They would draw that energy out. They would draw energy from the people sitting to give energy and they would blend it together. And then it's referred to as ectoplasm. And it's like sort of, it can be like a mist, it can become a solid, it can move. And you would see this mist across his face, it would undulate, it would move, and then it would morph into different people's faces.
Yeah,
And we were all seeing it with our physical eyes.
it's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, it was like mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. It was one of the biggest things in my life. It's once you see true physical phenomena, you can't go back. It's
Yeah,
like, we hear people saying they're doing it now and they're producing gemstones and stuff, and it's like that's not evidential. I sat there, this young lad appeared. I then ended up sitting in a circle and watching this sort of thing going on for about 8 years, I think we sat.
yeah.
My husband's grandfather transfigured over this man's face. And it was like everybody described seeing the exact same man.
So it's
It's like I
transfiguration.
saw
Yeah.
face, so many different faces.
So transfiguration is ectoplasm going over someone's
Yeah,
face, because a lot of mediums
yeah,
get confused about that. Um, I know the difference, but so transfiguration is a physical thing. It's subjective
it
mediumship.
is.
Everybody can see it, whether you're a medium or not. You can see it,
Yeah.
and so
The whole
that's
point in physical is you don't look with your mediumship, you look with your physical eye.
you don't look at the clairvoyant. So, what can you explain overshadowing to people? Because I think people get quite mixed.
Overshadowing, it's
Yes.
when your workers or people are coming close, they touch upon the auric field, and then people might see with their mediumship
Yeah.
a face over someone. So
Yes.
that's an overshadowing where you see it with mediumship. And
Yeah.
that's what happens sometimes is you'll get one person say, oh, I see a Native American. Another person will say, I see a man. Another one will say they see a woman. But they'll all be seeing something different.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
I
they'll be
understand
seeing
that.
with what they perceive. Either it's their imagination seeing or it is their mediumship seeing.
Yeah. I was on a TV program called Sensi Murder, and we had to find it was all like very authentic. And I still remember it's coming on TV again soon. And I described through my mediumship the lady who'd been murdered, and she had a gap in her teeth. And once I described her, I was allowed to turn the photo over, and she was at my peripheral vision. And what had happened is that her husband had murdered her. Her husband was a murderer. And I didn't know that at the stage, but her face, it was so spooky, changed into his face, and the face lifted off the photo and came right in front of me. It was very spooky, and that was what I was being filmed. And then when I saw a photo of him, it's exactly the same photo. So that was like my mediumship mystic ability, isn't it? That happened.
I got part of what you said, but not all of it. I do apologise. It's very, very quiet for me here.
Okay. Oh, basically, I had an experience with a photo that the face changed.
Yeah,
So that's my
right,
mediumship.
got you.
Yeah, yeah, it's my
Yes,
mediumship abilities. But it
yeah.
was also
No, I get
kind.
that. So it's like you've looked at a photo and it started changing whilst you were looking at it.
Oh, and the
Is that
photo
what you
came,
mean?
the face came off the photo.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so her husband murdered her, and her face changed into his, and his face came up and went in front of me.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that was
I've never
like,
seen it on a photo like that. So yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, I was like, I was being filmed,
Yeah.
and I wished I'd articulated it at the time I experienced it, but I didn't. I wished I articulated it when I should have said, I just seen the face come. But honestly, it happened, and it was very spooky. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really interesting. Okay. So if someone has mediumistic abilities, how would you how would you say to them, how can they learn? How can they develop? What's the best thing they can do? What would you suggest to them?
Okay, so from my perspective, I believe everybody's born psychic, that it's
Yeah,
part of our natural survival instinct, and we hone it to another level. And it's that psychic energy that we use to be able to communicate with the spirit world. We take a So there's a saying within our movement, and you will have probably heard it, which is every medium is psychic, but not every psychic will become a medium.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard,
So
yeah,
we all have some form of natural ability, and it's whether you can hone it to that mediumistic skill. But if somebody is experiencing, whether it's picking up psychically or mediumistically, I would recommend that they find a good tutor, somebody who is educated and knows the history and knows what they're talking about. Um, for me, SNU through and through, because many of our tutors are knowledgeable.
yes,
It's There's some people out there who will tell you that you should be fearful of the spirit world and things like that. I grew up with spirit around me and my family, and there's nothing to fear from the spirit world. The first thing is if you're going to develop your mediumship, you have to trust in your team. You've got to trust in the spirit world. You've got to put fear aside. Education is the key to um, to enlightenment. It truly is. It removes our fear of the unknown. What people are scared of is not knowing what's happening. Some of the early signs that people have of clairvoyance, for instance, is they might see a shadow out of the corner of their eye, and then they quickly turn their head to look at it, and then it disappears, and then they get frightened because they don't know what it was. And it wasn't their physical eyes that saw it; it was their brain that sees it. It's the mind that sees it. So it's like knowing that it's the first signs of sensing someone is there. Where if they'd have just sent the thought, who's that? They might have got a response. But it's when you turn to look at it. So then some people went, oh, it must be shadow people. And it's not shadow people. It's just simply your clairvoyance starting to kick in. But if somebody doesn't know, they get frightened by it. And then your imagination kicks in. And then you paint an ominous, nasty thought on it and get scared of it. So this is why I recommend if anybody's experiencing things, find someone who's knowledgeable, find someone
Right.
who knows what they're talking about. I was lucky enough that every time I experienced something, I could just go to my mother. She was an
Yeah.
experienced medium, a member of the SNU. I say she
Well, and
became an official, now a minister of the SNU. So she came from a place of knowledge. So she would just
fantastic.
simply explain everything in down to earth, normal terms, which is why I have no fear of the spirit world.
So was
Which
her
I
mum
would
was
highly
her mum
recommend if anybody's going to develop, find someone who's good.
get some I agree 100%, 100%. And the SNUI is good, isn't it? The SNUI for people that don't live in England,
Yeah.
online's a really good way because I
So
found it really beneficial.
SNUI was originally the brainchild of a wonderful lady called Vi.
Yes.
She was one of my tutors.
Who was
My
this?
mother
Who was
ran the
that?
Lyceum, and then Vi would run it the second week.
Oh,
So it
right.
was my mother, then Vi, then my mother, Vi would run my development group that I was taught under. And when SNU launched, I was one of the very first members because Vi was on there, I went on there.
Wow. I loved it. It
And
was,
then I
yeah.
was on there for a while, and then I enjoyed
Yeah.
teaching on there for several years. I ran their open circle. I ran a beginners development group. I ran their orograph class. I ran their spirit portrait class. And I can highly recommend if anybody needs somewhere and they can't get good tutors, go to SNUI. It was Vi's
Totally.
dream. She used to have yeah, she had a repetitive dream where she kept seeing old style radio signals going around the world
Oh,
because she had
wow.
some health problems. It was getting difficult to go to church.
Yeah. Wow.
And she wanted to be able to bring church services and development groups to people who couldn't get out of their homes or were in places
Right.
where they just knew there was people out there with ability who were unnerved who
Yeah.
needed help and guidance, and she wanted to be able to bring it to people's homes. So
Wow.
yeah, I highly recommend SNUI and SNU.
I agree because when I did my pass and then flew to England and then I did my CSNU and flew to England as well. So yeah, I love the Arthur Finney College, but then I really
The
want
Art of Many College is beautiful.
a system. It's
People want
incredible,
to, yeah, I'm with you on that, absolutely. The
incredible,
energy as you step through the doors, it feels like you've come
incredible.
home.
Yeah, you come
It's
home. Yeah,
like the first time I walked into a church. It's the
yeah,
same
yeah,
sort of sense of belonging,
yeah.
of
I was quite scared
community.
though. The first time I went, because I came from a very strong Catholic family, and I was terrified when I first went to Arthur Finney College. But then it didn't take me long to understand it. After I saw the mediumship and the people and the surroundings and the energy, I just started off with the scariness and then I calmed down very quickly. Yeah. I've been there many times. Haven't been there for a while since COVID.
I'm here now at the moment.
Ah, yeah, I thought you were because I was looking at the ceiling.
Yeah, I'm
Are
sat in
you
the
in the
library at the
library?
minute.
Where are you at the moment? In the library or?
I'm in the library.
I thought you might because I was looking at the ceiling and I have seen some incredible things in the library. Oh my God, incredible things. Okay, so that's really good. So was your was your mum's mum also a medium?
My mother is still a medium. She's still a
But
minister. She's,
is your grandmother a medium? Her mother?
sorry, say that again.
Is her mother a medium? Like your grandmother?
No,
Right.
my grandmother, we believe that she might have had some mediumistic abilities, but she was frightened of them. When
Yeah,
my mother showed signs of mediumship when she was young, she used to tell her there's no bad blood in the family, which
right.
was not a nice thing to say to a child.
No, no.
My mother used to wait to find this lady sitting on the bottom of her bed, and when she described her to my grandmother, it turned out it was her grandmother. She turned white and told her there's no bad blood in the family. So
Right.
my mother didn't have anybody to speak to about what was
Wow.
happening to her when she was a child. And she promised herself that her children would never go through that.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So she made sure that we understood there was nothing to fear, that if we needed to speak to her about it, we could. And she always gave us a choice and told us, you'll find your own way to God. But we were raised not to ever fear the spirit world, because it's people that hurt people, not spirit.
A spirit never
So,
hurts
yeah, we
people.
were
It's
very lucky
people.
in that way.
I agree with you. People do hurt people. It's never spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% with that. So, as you know, obviously you're very passionate about spiritualism, the SNU. You're very passionate about mediumship. Why do you love doing it so much?
And ever since I was a child, I had a calling to be of service. I know that sounds very strange. I was the child who read the Bible from back to front. I was the child who like sort of read the principles, and it was like I was very much into the calling to help other people. I was very empathic, and I felt pulled to be doing something to help other people. That's the only way I can phrase it. And mediumship, it gives me that opportunity to help as many people as I can. It's
Yeah,
it's it helped me when I needed evidence of
yeah,
life after death.
yeah,
It's helped me when I've been in dark moments to raise my spirit. I've helped many people through uh, just providing that evidence of survival. It's one of those things of, with spiritualism, it's like we believe in God. We
yes,
absolutely believe in God, but we can't prove the existence of God.
right,
So that's where it becomes faith. So we believe there is a God, but we provide evidence that provides that. Sorry, say that again, Coral. Evidence that there is life after death.
yeah,
So if we
that's
can provide
lovely.
evidence that our loved ones survive, then does that not stand to reason that we also survive?
Yes,
So that's where it's like we provide that evidence to people. It shows that if there is something out there, then surely that backs up our belief that there is a God
I agree with
and that
you.
there is an eternal life and that
Yeah.
we have an eternity to explore it. And that tends to help people in this world prepare for the next world,
Do you know it's quite
makes them a
interesting?
better person in this world as well.
It does make them a better person. I agree wholeheartedly. It does. And quite interesting in a reading, when I give a reading, and it often will be an atheist or agnostic, they come through and one of the things they say to me, one, I've come home, and the other thing that's beautiful colors, and the other thing they say, there really is a God. And they always say, this is what they say to me, there really is a God. It's one of their messages. And the sitter often says, oh, they didn't believe in any of this. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. One of the things that I've found through my mediumship, it doesn't matter what belief system you have, whether you are a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Jew, whether you're a spiritualist, it doesn't matter what religion you choose, or even if you don't choose a religion. You can be an atheist and yet you will still return to the spirit world regardless. And the reason why I say that is because I've had communication from people of all walks of life, all cultures, all religions. They're all communicating from the spirit world, so therefore it stands to reason that we all must survive. So I liken it, if God was sat on the top of a mountain, how many pathways up the mountain is there? So we might choose to go there by different routes, but we still all get to the same destination.
Of course.
So I don't understand why we argue over it. For me, I believe it's ego that gets in the way, where people decide, you must agree with me, my way is the only way. And it's like, no, that's your way and that's perfect for you, but my way is perfect for me. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like we
right.
should all have that freedom of choice. We're all going to the same place. We just choose a different form of transport.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And also, Coral, interesting. What about someone who's a different language? So someone I've had this myself. I had someone come and they've given me a word that can be a Maori word or a French word or a German word, but they actually can communicate with me in English, even though, yeah. So, what's your thoughts on that about someone who speaks a different language who's passed?
And what I've discovered is it doesn't matter whether somebody was German, French, Italian. I hear it in English.
Yes, so do I.
All right. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, there is a universal language that translates.
Same.
Yeah.
And have you
A
ever
home
had,
is a home in every
yeah,
language. It's a feeling of home,
yeah, it is. So have you ever
and that
had,
translates.
yeah. So sometimes the spirit will speak to me in English, even though they're French, but they'll give me a French word that I don't know what it
Yes,
means. Does that happen?
sometimes, yes. So it's like, so I tend to get most of it either through feelings. So I'm predominantly clairsentient, so I feel most of my
Right.
information.
Okay.
But then sometimes it's clear knowing, and that's when I get my words in other languages, maybe.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's names I sometimes get in other languages.
Oh,
But
wow. Yeah.
it's only occasionally because I don't always get names. Names is one of my hard parts for me. It's part of my hang up is because everybody knows a Mary, Margaret, and a John. So I'm frightened of saying those names if you get
But
where
it
I
doesn't,
mean.
you've got to give it, my experience has been as a medium, sometimes it can be the most simple thing. It can be as simple as I love you. That's all they need. And it may seem like nothing to you, but if you give what they give you, even it's as simple as I love you, the recipient would just, they'll always respond in a beautiful way. So
Oh,
I find it, but
absolutely.
yeah, it doesn't matter how simple even it is a John or a Mary or Margaret, who cares? Because it means something to them, doesn't it?
So I don't always get names for people, but I
That
do
doesn't
get the
matter
feeling
though.
of what a person feels for someone. But
Yeah,
occasionally, if it's a word I don't know, they will drop it in and I'm trying to say
yeah,
it. But I do know that the language translates.
yes,
It really does. Because as I said, love is a feeling of love in every language.
yes,
A
yes,
home is a feeling of home in every language. So it's the
yes,
feeling I'm getting of it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's the
It's
best way
it's
I
a,
can
have you
describe it.
have you experienced someone? I've experienced this where someone's had dementia or they can't communicate, but when they're past, they can. Have you heard that? So someone had dementia or they couldn't communicate. They had Alzheimer's, whatever, and they go to the spirit world and suddenly they all the memories come back and they communicate. Have you experienced that?
So people with what, sorry?
Some people who have died and they had
Yeah.
Alzheimer's or dementia or
Yes.
confusion and they go to spirit
Um,
and suddenly they can communicate clearly again.
yes, I've had communication from lots of people with Alzheimer's and dementia. Where I will say is the instant the physical body dies, that condition is lifted because it wasn't the spiritual body that has the problem, it was the physical body.
Yes,
And it's like any ailment that the body has, whether it be mental or, or within the body or it's within the brain, it's that physical body that's ill. When that is gone, the person is whole again. They do not suffer with those conditions in the spirit world, and no one should ever be left to think that their loved ones are suffering in the spirit because they're not. No cancer, none of that, no Alzheimer's, no dementia. The instant the physical body is gone and you're released back to the spirit world. Spirit tell us we are the light. They see us by our light. It's how they recognize us, and our ethereal body is whole. It is not got Alzheimer's.
that's so nice though. Isn't it comforting to know there's no pain, there's no sickness
Mm-hmm.
in illness because people worried about how
Absolutely.
they're feeling
When they
now?
come through and they give a bit of evidence about like they had an Alzheimer's condition, it's a memory of the condition because somebody might recognize them by it. It doesn't mean they're suffering.
What about people that have, say, been committed suicide?
I believe that people who've committed suicide still return to the spirit world regardless.
So do
And
I. I
yeah, because I've
100%,
had
yeah,
communication from them.
yeah,
Yeah. And again, I would put that down. It is the brain, the physical brain, and it
yes,
being unwell or emotional pain that has driven the person to commit suicide. But
yes.
when they're released from the body again, they become whole again.
So
So
what
those
about,
conditions that took
yeah,
them over are lifted.
yeah. So I'm giving this for that. So what about people? The reason I'm asking, so the listeners probably have these questions. So some people are like, some people can die tragically. It could be an accident. It could be a murder. It could be some terrible death. And spirit world, how do you think it's really hard for those left behind? Or if someone's had a sudden passing, it's a sudden passing. So how For those left behind are devastated. So how do you think the spirit person feels on the other side? They've passed suddenly, and wasn't meant to happen.
I believe nobody dies alone for a start off. I believe that we are collected by the spirit world to ease us back into the spirit world. I believe I'm spirit having a human experience.
Right.
So I'm from the spirit world and I will return to the spirit world when my physical body is done. For those people who make that fast transition, it might be a bit, I don't know how to phrase it. It might be a little bit strange because you're in this world one second, you're in the spirit world the next. But I believe it would not take very long for them to recognize where they are because they're spirit having a human experience and they're suddenly back in the spirit world. They might be upset to begin with that their life has been taken from them and that they still had things to do this side of life. They're still going to worry about their family this side of life because love transcends the grave. But I believe they will progress in the spirit world, but they are still whole again, if you get where I mean.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So I think there will be an adjustment period where I know that if I was to die this second, I know fine well that I would be collected from the spirit world and I would recognize my loved one. So as we make the transition from this world to the next, there's a reunion on the other side because you're reunited with your family. And then suddenly, you might be doing one thing here one second and suddenly you're surrounded by your family in the spirit world and going, oh, where's this party come from? Yeah.
This is so weird. I tell you why at the end, the card I pulled for you from my spirit card pack. I've written these cards and it's really interesting. But we'll come to that. So leading on from that, that's very comforting. Just before I finish that subject though, so the spirit adjusts and then they become whole again and they can progress.
Mm-hmm.
But they still love the people on the other side and they still mourn for them, don't they? Or they miss them? Would you say they miss the people who they were connected to? Or do they adjust to that pretty quickly?
So I do feel that when people, it's just my personal opinion, when people they've passed over to the other side, they still are going to love their family. And they're still going to take an interest in their family. Because I can only say from my experiences, my grandfather comes through frequently in messages. I've never met him. He passed before my parents even met, but I am kin of his kin.
Right.
So he loves me regardless. So he takes an interest in my life.
Yeah.
They do take an interest in us.
Yeah.
In our development. Are we fulfilling our spiritual journey that we wanted to come here for? I do believe that they do take an interest in us because love transcends the grave. It does.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's nice for people to know that it's still loved and thought of.
Yeah.
And I think what's really
I get a sense of comfort when my father stands next to me and I can sense.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling knowing that he's there.
Yeah. Yeah. So so this podcast is about spiritual truths. So what would you say is your spiritual truth or truths?
My spiritual truth is trust in the spirit world. Know there's nothing to fear. If you're having mediumistic experiences, speak to somebody who's knowledgeable. That will help you, guide you in the right direction. My spiritual truth is my spirit art is my passion. I love it.
Yeah.
I love helping people.
Yeah.
I love the principles of spiritualism. I believe in every single one of them. They inspire me in my life and give me guidance of how to try and be a better person within this world, to do my small part to make it a better, brighter place for all. So that's kind of my spiritual truth.
Yeah, that's lovely. Do you draw in color or just with pencil?
I sometimes draw in pencil. I sometimes draw with pen on acetate so it can be projected onto a screen behind.
Oh, yes.
When I'm working, and I give the message with. I've recently treated myself to pan pastels and I started painting with them and they're amazing. Highly recommend them.
Exciting.
But yeah,
I
I
keep
do
on feeling color.
variations. I also do portraits in clay and do 3D
Yeah.
images for people.
Wow, amazing. I kept on feeling the color coming to you. It's like, yeah, I felt quite excited about
Yeah,
the
I'm
color.
very much, the last few days I've been painting in colour, so
That's
I'm
interesting.
exploring my new pan pastels. They're all,
It feels exciting. I feel excited about it for you.
yeah, it's just working with art. I can say for anybody, if they want to do something that calms them, that they can zone out on and let go of the worries of the day, pick up a pencil and start drawing.
Yeah, I might try
Use
that.
colours. Every colour has a frequency that affects us
It
differently.
does.
It can bring positivity into your
Yeah,
life. It's mindfulness. There's mindfulness art, and you never know, you might become a spirit artist because
I'd
sometimes
love
spirit
to.
will come in and influence what you're doing.
I'd love to, Coral. I'd love to. So can someone get hold of you and you can do a portrait for them or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, people can follow me on Facebook.
So
Uh,
what do you,
or
can you tell
so
the
on Facebook,
listeners?
it's my name, Coral Ryder, or the Spirit Within Art
So
is
Coral
what I'm
Rider
known as.
with a spirit
Yeah,
with a
so Coral
nut
Ryder with a Y.
with a Y.
Yeah.
So C O
I'm on
R
Facebook.
A
I
L
have
R Y D E R. Yeah.
yeah, and I have Spirit Within Art also on Facebook. That's my name for when, because I design varying different clothing and spiritual items and that kind of thing, and sell them as well. You can also email me at coralride@gmail.com if anybody's interested in my work.
So did you also give readings as well?
Yes, I do readings. I can do either normal readings, I can do psychic readings, I can do orograph readings, and I can do spirit portraits.
Oh, wow, you're amazing. That's how they get hold of you. That's lovely. Okay, so would you mind if I read a card to you now?
I don't mind you reading a card to me, John.
Okay, so these are so a bit different than you. I started writing. So what happened? I heard Spirit would wake me up and I'd hear them talking to me and it sort of rhymed. And I just thought it kept on happening every morning. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to write this down. And then I've got a lovely PA who looks after me. And I thought, oh, once I put myself down, I said, oh, these are probably just rubbish. And I sent it to her and she couldn't stop crying. And I thought, okay, it's touching her. So I knew I had to write them. So they're called messages from spirit. And what I do is I sell them, but I also use them in my readings. I pull it at the end. And I also pull them when I do a podcast. So the number you got is 49. Now, like I said, when I first picked it up for the podcast, I picked it up a while ago. I just felt immediately felt a lady connecting with me, like she felt like a motherly or grandmotherly straight away. I just straight away felt, and I just hit at peace. And then I felt a man soon after that, which I felt could be your father. So you've mentioned your father's past. So I feel she was here first, quite strong, and then he came in after her. And
Okay.
what the message to you is, and it matches what you're talking about. Over here, it's calm. I'm all okay. Try not to fret. You'll see me one day. I've met lots of family here. They show me love and that I care. So much to see and feel. When I first arrived, it was time to heal. I feel more clear. Although I miss you, know I still hold you dear.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, yeah.
The
I just,
beautiful thing about it is I haven't seen him after his passed. I've sensed him, but my mother did see him.
wow.
He appeared in her front room and she said he was glowing.
Wow.
Absolutely
Did you give him
beautiful.
support? Did you give him support?
Did I give him what?
Support before he passed? Did you support your dad?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, supported him because he said, because he supports you, but he said, he goes, although I miss you, then he said to me, I miss your support. He told me he misses your support. So the good sense
Yeah,
of
it
humour,
was.
didn't he?
I
Good
sat
sense
with
of
him
humour.
the
Oh,
during the night, and then so that my mother could rest, and then she took over. So yeah,
yeah. And he's
I
just
suppose.
passing you a beautiful flower. Just a beautiful flower. He's just passing a single flower to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's from
Lovely.
him. And so I just love what you're doing for people. You're teaching people, you're helping people with their journey, keeping them calm, and you're giving them honesty and really good evidence. And I think we all need this in this world. And like you say, spirit never hurts you, but we can hurt one another.
It's for me, it's like sort of spiritualism for me is just being it's it's a family,
That's
it's a
nice.
community,
Yeah,
and having that communication with the spirit and knowing that you will be reunited one day, it just brings
yeah,
comfort and healing to so
yeah,
many. I mean,
yeah.
my friend, one of my best friends, she is Catholic, very strong Catholic, and she's not frightened by what I do. She loves what I do
Oh,
because she says, "You
fantastic.
bolster my faith."
She said
Knowing
what?
that I can provide evidence bolsters her faith in the afterlife.
Yeah.
She says, "I know heaven exists because you've proven it."
Oh, how beautiful.
So she's still strong in her faith, but
Yeah,
she doesn't see spiritualism as something to be scared of. She sees what
great.
mediumship as something that bolsters the fact that there is life after death.
Yeah, that's
That makes
fantastic.
her
That's
belief in
wonderful.
God even stronger.
That's one. I just wish that happened a bit more, that people didn't see it's like Catholic versus spiritualism, and this need to be united together.
And there doesn't need to be any conflict between religions at all if people just accept that each
No,
person has their own right to find their pathway to God.
they do. They're entitled to that. And I said it to my sister-in-law, who's quite very Catholic, and I explained that to her. I said, "There's many paths to God."
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, so we've all got something to contribute. So thank you for time, and I'd love to speak to you again, and I'd love to meet you in person one time.
that would be lovely.
Yeah,
And
and
thank you for the invite. It's
you're
been a
very
pleasure.
welcome. And we got there in the end. And enjoy Arthur Finney College. It's and I feel
I just
so
love being
yeah.
here. The tutors here are phenomenal.
Who's there at the
If people
moment?
ever want to come to England, I recommend if you want to go to the college, Arthur Finley College, it's a calendar house.
Yeah,
It was Arthur Finley's home.
yeah.
He donated it to spiritualism
Arthur
to
Finley,
be used
yeah,
as a
yeah.
college. And the interesting, it's quirky, is a lovely word for it because it's a calendar home. It's got like it's based on the months of the year, and so it's I think it's at 356 windows, 52 chimneys,
Wow.
12 main corridors. Yeah, it's based around the calendar. That's
Oh,
why
I
it's
didn't
so
know that.
unusual.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's an amazing place.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I love the library. It's very special. So I feel
That's
really
where I'm
honored.
sat at the moment.
Thank you for doing it in the library because I love it. I really feel connection in the library. It's incredible. Yeah. Well, lots of love and have a good evening because it's a day here at evening there. And thank you for, yeah, pursuing this.
Well,
We'll
thank you
connect
very much
again.
for having me.
Okay.
Take care.
Blessings and love. Bye bye, darling. Bye.